again, all of you Mass Effect fanatics. I bring wonderful news from the heart of the team behind Mass Effect 4. Also, I want to go ahead and say that by the end of this video, you will know, as well as I, a general rough timeline for the release of Mass Effect 4. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the actual news here, or rather, the teaser. BioWare released a number of pictures with captions, one right after the other, through one of their social media accounts that tease us with the actual product. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first picture and see what we can see. What a teaser picture, wouldn't you say? Showing nothing but dim pictures on a screen while holding a controller. If you notice here, on his left monitor, there is no depiction of Mass Effect, as you can clearly see the Windows taskbar down on the bottom of the image, which could mean that this is actually gameplay just in a borderless window, but it also could mean that this is just a wallpaper the developers came up with. Shepard, sorry, not actually Shepard, he isn't in this game. The main protagonist, standing in a room with what looks like a holographic computer interface, staring out of a window at the player, or is actually outside on some kind of pavilion, as we cannot see the glass in the dim image. All we can see is that he is up in the sky, so it is likely some kind of vessel. This is noticed by the clouds floating outside the room. I believe this is likely an interior view of one of the rooms in the new protagonist's ship. Now to the next post from BioWare. Also, as you may have noticed, I have somewhat of a technical cold today, so I do have to apologize for my voice, as it is a little bit scratchy, as you may have noticed. Now, we are not going to stay on this image for too long, as from what I can tell, it is simply someone designing concept art, and any image on the screen must be taken with a grain of salt. However, it shows an interesting design for what appears to be the new tech blade, or from what I can tell, an old one. This could mean that, since the new arm on the left monitor appears to be for a race other than human, that we will be able to play as other races in the new game. Also, when I say an old one, I mean that it does not look like the nice holographic blade from the third game. It seems to be mechanical, which could mean that they are bringing the game backwards into the past, which in my opinion would be a poor idea, as it could leave us wanting of the technology in the previous games, or could make the old technology look better than the new technology from the previous series, and could mess the timeline up a little, as there would be no need to progress their tech the way they did if the new tech was less functional than the old tech. We will get to the next picture in just a moment. I want to clarify that the people behind this new Mass Effect are the people from the multiplayer aspect in Mass Effect 3, and not the people who designed the last series. This means that the people behind the new game will likely turn this into somewhat of an action shooter, possibly without RPG elements, and, if so, more in line with what other FPS games have done in the past in terms of upgradable weapons and character stats. Somewhat as it was in Mass Effect 3, but possibly more limited down to just the weapons. I'm sure that the game will come with RPG elements. How well they're made and how well the elements will be released will have to be seen at the release of the game. It has been stated in multiple instances, however, that the game will have a choice system, like the Paragon and Renegade system of the previous series, that will affect how the game progresses. Hopefully, this will be implemented as well as it was in the previous game, but since a different team is working on the game, there is no real way to feel positive about that fact, as the multiplayer element of Mass Effect 3 could not possibly have relied on the choice system. Again though, this all may come out well, but if you allow it, this may taint your confidence in how well the game may be released, and if it will be anywhere close to as good as the previous series was. Now, let's move on to the third picture. Before we do that though, I want to try and clear up some of this technical static I've been getting through my microphone. So let's go ahead and try that now.
Alright, that did not seem to work. Let's go ahead and try to analyze this picture a little bit. New enemies to encounter. I like the world that he has behind him, but I really just can't see what the enemies are. And from what I can tell, this is concept art as well, and again must be taken with a grain of salt. I can tell that some serious world design is going into the game from this image. I cannot see anything about the new enemies to encounter that they speak of. I can sort of picture out a horse and some people standing below the mountain, but other than that, I can make no assumptions here about the enemies and will have to leave that to you.
Alright, now that we've gotten through that image, and I've reverted back to this slightly more masculine voice, let's move on to the last image that BioWare released. Okay, cough, cough, cough. Oh, looks like I just had something stuck in my throat? The first thing I notice about this picture is, again, it looks like concept art. There are 4 images over in the monitor in the background, but they used depth of field to kind of blur that out of there, which easily could mean that something important could have been there at the back, but whatever it was, we will not be able to see here. The worlds that they are designing here, at least in concept, are beautiful, based on the few concept pictures that we've seen. However, knowing that the game will be released both to the PS4 and the Xbox One, we will have to assume that the amount of actual details placed into the game in order to replicate these concepts will be somewhat limited. By how much will be determined by how much power they will be able to squeeze out of both consoles having the bottleneck of a mechanical drive. It will be interesting to see how much they will actually be able to accomplish here. The level of detail he is placing into the concept is absolutely astounding, and I sincerely hope that the game will match it, as the worlds here being shown are absolutely jaw-dropping, and I want to be there, fighting the Reapers. I mean the new villain of the series. Alright folks, that's all for this episode of News from a Gamer. I hope you liked this video. If you didn't, I apologize for the massive waste of time, and oh, wait, that's right, I said I would provide you with a rough timeline for release. One moment while I scour around for what I found. Alright, there you have it. I will flash this and the exact website where this was found twice before the end of this video. Mass Effect 4 is expected by the end of 2014, possibly early 2014 if all goes well, and I for one cannot wait to play it, not in the slightest. I wish I was playing it now actually, as Mass Effect is at the very top of my list of games to play repeatedly until I die. I absolutely loved the previous games and I'm interested to see them continue. Whether or not they ruin it, I will shell out all the money to at least possess the game, so that I may continue the epic trilogy that was Mass Effect. I want to see them introduce a few new things, like the ability to pick other races as a main race, and ship battles, and a better choice system that doesn't end in the same 3 options, and if it does, at least have a good idea behind it, like the massive indoctrination theory that blew my mind away. If you haven't heard anything about that yet, go watch one of the many videos explaining it. If you can find the one that's over an hour long, it is much worth the watch. But no matter what, thanks for watching, have a great night, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you at the stores when Mass Effect hits the shelves.